Und damit herzlich willkommen zurück bei The Great Ace Attorney 2 Adventures, wollte ich sagen, aber es ist tatsächlich Resolve, heißt das Spiel. Im letzten Part haben wir die zweiten Untersuchung abgeschlossen. Wir haben nicht so viel bei der Maschine herausgefunden, außer dass das Gitter scheinbar so aussieht, dass man da hinten sieht, dass es so runtergehen kann. Aber wir haben den Mechaniker, den Engineer ausfindig gemacht, den Unglücklicher, und waren in seiner Werkstatt. Und da haben wir ja, herausgefunden quasi, dass Unglücklicher das war, der die Statue, die Wachsstatue aus dem Wachsfigurenkabinett tatsächlich geholt hat. Beziehungsweise wir haben es herausgefunden, weil sein Kopf da lag von dieser Wachsfigurenstatue. Und diese Wachsfigurenstatue ist auch eine besondere, denn die bildet den sogenannten Professor ab. Der Professor war ein Massenmörder, der unter anderem auch Clint van Zieks, den Bruder von Barock van Zieks, umgebracht hat. Und seit diesem Vorfall soll Barock van Zieks wohl nicht mehr derselbe sein. Vorher wurde er von Hairbrain als netter, aufgeschlossener Mensch beschrieben. Und wir wissen ja, dass das jetzt nicht wirklich auf Barock van Zieks zutrifft. Genau, was das Ganze dann damit auf sich hat, werden wir vielleicht jetzt erfahren. Vielleicht auch nicht. Susato ist auch wieder da. Und es sind gerade irgendwie sehr viele Fragen. Auch der Apprentice von Barock van Zieks, dieser, ja, der Apprentice mit der Maske und alles, der scheint auch sehr verdächtig zu sein. Wir haben die Vermutung, dass es vielleicht Kazuma sein könnte, also auch Ryunosuke und Susato, weil Kazumas Körper wohl nie wieder gefunden wurde nach dem ersten Auffinden davon. Eigentlich sollte er in Hongkong abgeladen werden, damals auf dem Schiff, aber dann war er schon weg. Und das spricht ja eigentlich dafür, dass er vielleicht noch leben könnte, was aber auch dafür sprechen könnte, dass Herlock uns angelogen hat, tatsächlich, weil Herlock war es ja, der den Körper zuerst gefunden hat und da mit seinen großartigen Deduktionen alles ja, eingeleitet hat, quasi. Und genau, was gab's noch? Der Hund of the Baskervilles, genau, der Professor, der Barock van Zieks Bruder getötet hat, hat mit einem Hund, also mit einem Hund, die Leute getötet. Und ich denke mal, dieses Halsband, was wir gefunden hatten, wo ein B drauf stand und was blutig war, war dieses Halsband von dem Hund of the Baskervilles, das Skript, was Iris auch nie veröffentlichen durfte und was seltsamerweise bei Susato in Japan rumlag. Bei Susato, bei ihrem Vater in Japan. Und ich glaube, das waren so alle roten Fäden, die wir bisher hatten. Wenn noch was dazu kommt, dann kommt es dazu. Ihr habt ja die Parts vorher auch gesehen. Ich bin sehr, sehr gespannt, wie sich das alles auflöst. Weil im Moment, wir sind jetzt gut Hälfte des Spiels durch. Vielleicht sogar schon ein bisschen mehr. Und im Moment sind noch sehr viele Fragen da. Und sehr, sehr wenige Antworten. Eine Sache hatte ich noch. Die Giselle Brett, die im ersten Fall von Adventures die Mörderin war und im zweiten Fall im ersten Fall von Resolve das Opfer war. Die hieß gar nicht Giselle Brett, sondern A. Chin. Und dieser Name A. Chin war auch auf der Disc drauf. Auf der Disc aus dem fünften Fall von Adventures, wo wir am Ende die Namen drauf gefunden haben. Wo Kazuma drauf war, wo Tobias Gregson drauf war, wo A. Chin drauf war. Und Dr. John H. Wilson, der das Opfer aus dem ersten Fall von Adventures. Deswegen, es hängt alles scheinbar zusammen, aber wie das alles zusammengeführt wird, frage ich mich gerade noch. Ich bin sicher, es wird grandios sein, wie ich Shu Takumi kenne, den Erfinder von Ace Attorney. Aber ich bin gespannt, wie es weitergeht. Let's go, würde ich sagen. Wir labern hier schon wieder 5 Minuten. The Return of the Great Departed Soul, Trial Part 3, Start Playing from the Saved Game Data. Ja, ich bin gespannt. Gestern um 3:36 Uhr haben wir das letzte Mal gesaved. Wir haben es jetzt 12:24 Uhr, also knapp 9 Stunden später. Let's go! beziehungsweise heute haben wir gesaved um 3 Uhr. 24th October, 9:11 AM. The Old Bailey Courtroom. Oder so, Old Bailey Defendant's Antechamber, meine ich. Good morning to you, Mr. Naruhodo. Ah, good morning, Professor. Ready for today's proceedings. Oh, und am Ende ist die Maschine von ihm auch noch explodiert. Genau. Das war ja überhaupt der Cliffhanger. Am Ende ist seine Maschine explodiert und damit unsere einzige Chance quasi zu beweisen, dass die Maschine nur ein Scam war, der von dem Opfer und dem Engineer für die Regierungsgelder erfunden wurde und die den Hairway nur ausgenutzt haben. Das ist natürlich auch misslich. I hope so. I should be. Even I, with nothing left. Good morning, my dear fellows. Oh, Mr. Sholmes, you're here. Why, naturally. A true gentleman stands shoulder to shoulder with his friends in battle at all times. Thank you, I really appreciate it. I'll see you later then. Now, Professor, we really need you to remain calm in the courtroom today. Yes, do try your hardest not to enter the witness stand uninvited again. Yes, I will. I realize it was a mistake, but my dear fellows, I must interject. Oh, you're still here, Mr. Sholmes. What's the matter? Surely you've overlooked some praise, have you not? To be cast in my direction, hmm? Sorry? I don't follow. Must I spell it out? I, the great Sherlock Holmes, the greatest detective of worldwide acclamation, arose at some ungodly hour to be here now. First thing in the morning. A miracle, you must agree. Well, if I must agree, then... As you know, my sleep is quite impregnable. Iris had to employ her full gamut of tactics. She pulled the covers off, shook me, poked both cheeks, punched me and kicked me from the bed. Then she poured a boiling cup of her latest experimental blend on my face and at last I was bestirred. Ist also ein Langschläfer, der Sholmes. Oh my. Iris has been busy. Iris doesn't have it in her to go that far. She's too nice. Ah, I sense the spirit of a fellow scientist, one who relishes the infinite possibilities of blending tea. I'm the one worthy of praise here, not Iris. This is my victory. Sorry to cut in. Ah, okay. Oh, Inspector Gregson, good morning. Gregson, my dear fellow, why the grim expression at this delightfully early hour? Oh, I don't know. Maybe because I've been confronted with a grimmer expression, eh? Dear me. Are you going to take that inside lying down, Professor? What? I don't know! Poor Professor. Anyway, here's the paperwork you asked for. What paperwork? Ah, I took the liberty of requesting it yesterday. I have a feeling it may prove useful. You wouldn't believe the hoops I had to jump through to get this brought out of the archives. Oh, sind das die Case-Files vielleicht von dem Professor? Ah, it's the Professor's autopsy report. Ach so, der autopsy report. That mass murderers who killed 5 members of the aristocracy. He was found guilty in a closed trial 10 years ago now. It was all done under wraps. And he was quickly executed soon after the trial. It's all in here. The killer's autopsy report has been entered into the court record. The autopsy report of the mass murderer known as the Professor, who was tried and found guilty by closed trial 10 years ago. I don't know what to say. Thank you, Inspector. Ehrenmann, Gregson. Ehrenmann. Condemned prisoner, redacted for confidentiality, der Name scheinbar, Pseudonym The Professor. Death by hanging confirmed at midnight, 17th June. Courtney Stevens. Stevens? Heißt sie nicht Scythe eigentlich? Die Forensiker-Dame? hier Courtney Scythe? Oder hieß sie damals anders? I don't know what to say. Thank you, Professor. Yes, much obliged, Gregson. Us lowly lot at the yard are just doing what we can. The shadow of the great detective Sholmes, of course. In the shadow of the great detective Sholmes, of course. Well then, Professor Hairbrain, this is it. Today we're going to lay all this to rest at last. I wish you the best of luck, Professor. I suppose he'll be in there today, will he? Dweber. Yes, we expect the prosecution to summon him as a witness. I'm still amazed that you managed to find him in just one day. I really owe you both so much. Counsel and the defendant. The trial is about to resume. Kindly make your way into the courtroom at once. Okay, this is it then. The final chapter. Funny, my heart's racing a little. I've not felt this before actually. This strange foreboding, Unheil verkünden. As if something's going to happen in this trial that I'm not ready for. Oh, der Reveal von dem Apprentice, oder was? But I can't let that distract me from the only thing that really matters. Finding the truth. Okay, ich bin sehr gespannt. Weil es geht schon ordentlich zur Sache dafür, dass es ein dritter Fall ist. Weil wie gesagt, normalerweise sind die dritten Fälle immer nicht so krass. Ist eigentlich immer mehr Filler. So. Aber hier geht es schon richtig zur Sache. Das finde ich nice. 24th October, 9:30 AM, The Old Bailey Courtroom. 9:30 Uhr, das ist wirklich zu früh. In the name of Her Majesty the Queen, I hereby declare this court to be in session again. We resume the public hearing of Albert Hairbrain here present, who stands accused of murder. Are the counsels for the prosecution and defense ready to proceed? The prosecution is ready, my lord. The defense is ready, my lord. As promised, Lord Van Zieks has his apprentice with him. His apprentice with memory loss. If I may, Lord Van Zieks. Yes, my lord. There appears to be someone standing at your side. Ah, yes, my apprentice and assistant. The prosecution believes today's proceedings will see complexity of this case rise considerably. The complexity. I therefore instructed my assistant to attend to ensure the smooth running of the trial. Hat einfach den Korken abgeschnitten mit dem Schwert. Okay, alles klar. Aber das spricht ja auch dafür, dass es Kazuma ist, oder? Weil Kazuma hat ja auch mit seinem Schwert. And the smooth running of liquid refreshments by the look of it. The way he holds himself, the way he moves. It couldn't be anyone else. Das wird krass emotional, wenn es wirklich Kazuma ist. But you're still suffering from amnesia, so there's really nothing we can do at the moment. I know, but... Oh, this is so very hard. It would appear the prosecution has done a fine job in responding to the demands of the court made yesterday. I understand you have successfully secured the engineer who disappeared from the scene on the day in question. Yes, my lord. I intend to call him as a witness shortly. Very good, very good. Now then, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you have been chosen at random to represent the will of the people in this courtroom today. Are you ready and willing to proceed? Of course, my lord. I'm sure we all understand the importance of doing our civic duty. I do so despite deception and deceit. I find it so very wearing. To take a man's life with a conjuring trick, it is against the magician's code, not to mention the law. Any fake scientist should fear the wrath of God, if you ask me. We have to listen to what's said on both sides of the fence and, then settle on one. That's it, isn't it? Wir hatten auch bisher keine Summation Examination, was mich nicht stört, weil ich mag die Summation Examination nicht. Aber das kommt sicherlich auch noch vor. Was heißt, ich mag sie nicht, aber ich finde sie ein bisschen lächerlich, wenn sie 2-3 Mal hintereinander ausgeführt wird. Wasn't like this in my day. Wasn't like this at all. If all parties are ready to proceed, you may begin, Lord von Zieks. Before I do, my lord, there's a report I must read to the court. Yesterday, at the Great Exhibition Grounds, the evidence of primary importance in this case, the super voltage instantaneous kinesis machine, which was installed on the experimentation stage, was deliberately destroyed in an explosion affected by an unknown person or persons. It was... what? An explosion! Okay. Ja, genau. Das haben wir ja mitgekriegt. This is an outrage! Yes, I heard this grave news yesterday. Scotland Yard submitted a report to my office in the evening. I read that the machine was blasted to smithers and the wreckage reduced to ashes in the flames. I have here a photographic print of the scene, taken in the wake of the explosion. It shows what little remains of the machine. Yes. A terrible business. He did it to destroy the evidence, did he? Said Ennard Streber. The court will take this print as evidence, counsel. The post-explosion photograph has been entered into the court record, a photographic print of the experimentation stage after it was completely leveled by a time bomb. The metal floor of the stage has been blown open by the explosion. Late yesterday afternoon... Ich möchte mir das nochmal kurz angucken. Okay. Aber scheinbar hat es ja den, die Platten hier unten geöffnet. Also scheinbar ist es trotzdem noch irgendwie ein Indiz dafür, dass da drunter was war. Late yesterday afternoon, the protection afforded to the machine by the Special Dispensation for Scientific Equipment Act was revoked. However, before a thorough investigation could begin, the invention was obliterated from existence. As such, this will become a very different trial. Okay. As it stands now, with no evidence on which to draw meaningful conclusions, the authenticity of the kinesis machine will remain forever in obscurity. Indeed. A most unfortunate state of affairs. However, one thing remains clear. The victim's death was the result of the actions of the accused. Hat es gerade gelaggt? Scheinbar, ne? Ganz kurz. Of that, we can be certain. The victim's death was the result of the... Okay. For it was the accused himself who was operating the machine and who ultimately caused its loss of control.
Objection!
As Lord van Zieks rightly says, this is a very different trial now. The accused accepts responsibility for his part in the events that transpired. He acknowledges that Mr. Asman died as a result of the accident caused by his machine's malfunction. However, unbeknownst to the professor, he was being deliberately deceived by a pair of very clever fraudsters. Names, counsel, if you please. The engineer, Mr. Ennard Streber, and the victim himself, Mr. O.D. Asman. So what exactly were these two men up to behind the defendant's back? The defense intends to expose that information, thus establishing the unequivocal innocence of the defendant. Thank you, Countess. The positions of the prosecution and defense have been clearly stated. Lord von Zieks, summon your first witness, please. At once, my lord. The prosecution calls the engineer, Mr. Arnold Streber, to the stand. Okay. Wir spielen keine Spielchen hier. Es kommt gleich der Mechaniker. State your name and occupation for the court. Name Arnold Streber. Occupation. Hard to pin down, I would say. See that black monocle? Yes. Why do I feel as though I've seen it somewhere before? Oh, you too? I had exactly the same feeling myself. Your file indicates that you are currently being investigated in connection with another case. The theft of a waxwork model, is it? A most extraordinary sounding business. Okay, wir hatten ja dieses Foto von ihm, aber in welchem Kontext hatten wir es nochmal? Okay, scheinbar einfach so. Und da hat er noch nicht, was auch immer er jetzt an der Seite hat, oder? Nee, hat er nicht. But there's no bearing on this trial, I assure you. Cleave it from your mind. You're familiar with the public experiment carried out at the Great Exhibition some days ago. The accused super high voltage instantaneous kinesis demonstration. Yes, you could say that. I am aware of it. There was a terrible accident, wasn't there? It was you, Mr. Drebber, who constructed the vast machine used in the experiment. Or so our investigations indicate. Can you confirm your involvement? Yes, I constructed it, in precise accordance with the blueprints, but that's all. Then the court would be very interested to hear your thoughts about the machine, I'm sure. An amazing device, if you ask me. The pinnacle of modern science, making instantaneous kinesis a reality at last. What? Good gracious! Do you mean to say that the experiment was bona fide? Is that your belief, sir? Yes, that is very much my belief. Such a waste that it blew up.
Objection!
But we've already established the machine was nothing more than a prop for an elaborate conjuring trick.
Objection!
You've established nothing of the sort. All that was shown during yesterday's proceedings is that the same outcome could have been produced by means of stage trickery. The defense merely proposed a method and demonstrated its feasibility, nothing more. Das stimmt, wir haben nicht gezeigt, dass es eindeutig so war, wir haben nur gezeigt, dass die Möglichkeit besteht. But... We've procrastinated long enough, I fear. Witness, you will now give your formal testimony. About the machine that you constructed for the purpose of the demonstration at the Great Exhibition. Understood. Witness testimony. The kinesis machine. I met the young professor approximately 1 year ago through Mr. Assman's introduction. He provided me with a blueprint and I constructed the machine to its precise specifications. It was no trick. If the whole show was a fraud, it would have required a body double. Tell me, did the victim have a twin? All the spectators saw the birdcage appear above their heads and then crash head first into the crystal tower. A terrible accident, I grant you. Perhaps the science on which the machine was built was flawed somehow. A body double. That goes without saying, surely. To give the impression that something has moved when in reality it hasn't. It's a basic conjuring principle. The deception cannot be achieved without substituting the original with a fake at some point in the performance. But will I be right in saying you haven't managed to establish anything along those lines? Incidentally, the prosecution has already confirmed that Mr. Assman had no twin sibling. It's my understanding that this witness is very worse in conjuring artfulness. But such talents do not indicate that he was actually able to accomplish what he claims. Okay, ich hatte gerade einen crazy Gedankengang. Wir haben ja in der Wachsfigur vom Professor dieses Glasstück hier gefunden, ne? A small fragment of a very unusual and thick glass that was found in the folds of clothing of the Professor Waxwork. It appeared to be from the Crystal Tower. Genau, dass das Crystal Tower war, weil hier in dem Foto haben wir ja hier oben diese Glasscherben, diese fetten Glasscherben. Und hier haben wir das hier, was gefunden wurde in dem Professor Waxwork. Was wäre, wenn das Professor Waxwork als Body Double quasi benutzt wurde von dem Grabber, weil, ich habe gerade den crazy Gedankengang, als Body Double, weil der Professor einfach Mr. Assman ist. Was wäre, wenn Mr. Assman einfach der Professor wäre? Weil so könnte ja die Wachsfigur, die gestohlen worden war, aus welchem Grund auch immer, als Body Double, als Doppelgänger herhalten, oder nicht? Ich weiß nicht, das ist ein bisschen weit hergeholt, glaube ich, aber es könnte ja sein. Waxwork Hat. The head of the Professor Waxwork was stolen from the Madame Tussauds Special Exhibit. Das wäre halt cool, wenn wir da den Kopf sehen würden, weil wenn ja, wenn wir sehen könnten wir ja wahrscheinlich, dann wird er ja vielleicht so aussehen wie der O.D. Assman hier. He was Professor Wayne's financial backer, okay. Ich dachte schon gerade, he was Professor steht da, aber scheinbar nicht. But such talents do not indicate that he was actually able to accomplish what he claims. Namely, the construction of what, by all accounts, must have been an extremely complex scientific machine. Whatever do you mean? Yesterday's proceedings brought the true nature of your past exploits to light, Mr. Durbar. Indeed it did, my lord. As a swindler who preys on innocent scientists to elicit government grant money through conjuring know-how. Yes, it's true that I possess considerable knowledge of stage magic. But crucially, my scientific knowledge more than matches that of any academic in the field. Investigation of the witness workshop attests to that claim, my lord. As evidence, the police found this Royal Society trophy for young talents in science there. Yes, that's true. We spotted it there ourselves. If a hypothesis is sound, it can always be forged into a physical manifestation with sufficient skill. Though I may have sold the secrets of some deceptive vials to sniveling, talentless scientists in the past. Would you therefore assert that the explosion of the machine was an unfortunate accident, or of course, a deliberate act of murder carried out by misuse of the science? Okay. Sound that can always be forged into a physical manifestation. Counsel for the defense. Your cross-examination, please. Yes, my lord. Okay, cross-examination.